How did the 2011 low-budget found-footage horror movie Megan is Missing become a viral sensation nearly a decade after its release? Let's find out as we step inside the cult house. Before the week of November 16th, 2020, I had never heard of Megan is Missing, and part of me wishes I never had. The other part of me is making this video, which will hopefully tell you everything you need to know about this movie so you don't have to see it for yourself. Though if you're anything like me, you probably will anyway, if you haven't already. In this debut episode of The Cult House, I'm going to summarize the history of Megan is Missing and why it went viral, and then break down the film's paper-thin plot before issuing my verdict and giving it a place on the cult rack. Megan is Missing is a found-footage horror thriller written and directed by Michael Goy, who would go on to direct episodes of Pretty Little Liars, American Horror Story, and The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. The film follows two best friends in high school living in North Hollywood, who are preyed upon by an internet predator, resulting in some pretty messed up stuff which I will detail in the summary. The movie was actually filmed back in 2006, but it didn't receive distribution until Anchor Bay Films picked it up in 2011, when it played briefly at my favorite theater chain in Los Angeles. At the time, it didn't make much of an impact. There's virtually no data for the film's presumably microscopic box office. Still, even back then, it managed to make some waves. Part of the film's reputation comes from the DVD being banned in New Zealand by the Office of Film and Literature Classifications, because apparently the Kiwis have both high standards and good taste. You can even read their reasoning in the annual report from that year. I would read this in my New Zealand accent, but it's pretty terrible. The feature depicts sexual violence and sexual conduct involving young people to such an extent and degree, and in such a manner, that the availability of the publication is likely to be injurious to the public good.
Wow.
Citing both the 3-minute rape scene and the sexualization of these teenage girls to a highly exploitative degree. Over the years, Megan is Missing has been discovered and covered on YouTube, but it wasn't until November of 2020 that the film absolutely exploded on TikTok, with users sharing their terrified and disturbed reactions to the film.
I did not expect that.
The craze spread onto Twitter and led to a flood of half-star reviews on Letterboxd. On TikTok alone, the hashtag Megan is Missing has already amassed over 300 million views. This led to entertainment outlets covering the sensation and, of course, an avalanche of memes. Yeah, we'll talk about that barrel soon enough. Megan is Missing was able to take off like this because it's widely available. In fact, at the time of making this video, there's several user uploads of the entire movie on YouTube, in addition to it being the current bestseller on Amazon Video. There seems to be a constant flow of regret and self-diagnosed trauma from those who watch it, and attempts to ward others away from making the same mistake, which honestly probably only compels people to further check it out. I've even seen a psychologist warning parents about the film.
That's absolutely not okay, never acceptable. We can't use traumatic imagery to scare children into changing their behaviour.
Perhaps the most widely seen warning for the film has come from the director himself.
I got a text from Amber Perkins, the lead actress in my movie, that it was exploding on TikTok at the moment, and I didn't get to give you the customary warnings that I used to give people before they watched Megan is Missing, which are: do not watch the movie in the middle of the night, do not watch the movie alone.
Personally speaking, a surefire way to ensure that I'll see a movie is to tell me not to see it.
Is that a challenge?
I mean, I'm someone who saw both Pixels and the Emoji Movie in theaters. What can I say? I'm a glutton for punishment, a self-described cinematic masochist. And so, naturally, I watched Megan is Missing, and guess what? It's terrible.
No! Yeah! Jesus! Ah!
It starts with a title card reading, "The following film is based on actual events." While this specific story is not real, Goy reportedly based the film on 7 real cases of child abduction. We're then introduced to our two leads, Megan, played by Rachel Quinn, and Amy, played by Amber Perkins.
And here we are, the stars of the hour on Amy's new video camera.
My expensive new video camera.
Daddy loves me. Yeah, well, mine love me too, slut.
Bitch.
And that, my fellow cinephiles, is an accurate indicator of the paltry performances, cringeworthy dialogue, and not to mention video quality of the entire film. If you found that difficult to bear, there's 84 minutes of where this came from. But stick with me and we'll get through this in a fraction of that time. We're then informed that we're watching footage from the days leading up to Megan's disappearance, followed 3 weeks later by Amy also vanishing, and that the film was assembled using cell phone transmissions, computer files, home videos, and public news reports. Oh my gosh, the public news reports. Just wait till we get to those. To be fair, this is a super low-budget film. Michael Goy, who wrote, directed, edited, and co-produced the film, says they shot the movie in just 9 days with a production budget of $35,000, a 5-person crew, and no professional equipment. Frankly, that's all painfully apparent during the entire film. He claims this was because he wanted the aesthetics to be very raw. So, mission accomplished? Still, when the scenes feel this flat and forced, it's less raw and more rough. So the film starts about 2 weeks before Megan goes missing, and it pretty much establishes that Megan is a popular high school girl, and her best friend Amy is decidedly not. Or, to use their words, Amy is a virgin and Megan is a hoe.
You're a hoe. H-O ho.
Jealousy talking, blah blah blah.
Off to a great start. We also find out that Megan is a drug addict.
Did you get some of that shit Tercel had today?
No, was it good?
Fucking awesome, girl.
And that her supplier looks like a 40-year-old man. Oh, and that her and her mom have a great relationship.
Wow, your mom is crazy. What a twisted bitch.
Amy, on the other hand, is daddy's little girl.
Women, always ganging up on defenseless men.
And if you're like me, in that inexplicable shots that cause you to wonder why were they filming this bother you in found footage movies, Megan is Missing never fails to bewilder. There's a whole house party sequence that contributes nothing besides reaffirming that Amy is a good girl and Megan is a hoe.
H-O ho.
After Amy is slapped for not giving in to the 40-year-old high schooler, she walks in on Megan sucking off this cretin, which she had to do in order for Amy to attend the party. If that's not friendship, I don't know what is. This leads to one of the most disgusting conversations I have ever seen in a film, where Megan tells Amy about the first blowjob she gave when she was 10 freaking years old.
So he's pressed up against me and I can feel it, and it's like huge.
This goes on for a whole nauseating 3 minutes, and the way Megan tells it is beyond the pale, and honestly seems like some sick pedo fantasy. At this point, you'll wonder what the hell the director intended and where he came up with this dialogue.
All the dialogue was transcribed from recordings that I made of my friends' children.
A few days later, Amy gets a camcorder for her birthday and records an impromptu interview with Megan where she divulges her devastating past.
My stepfather's name is Paul. He fucked me for the first time when I was 9. And he kept on fucking me for 2 years.
I think this would have been far more effective if it didn't immediately follow that perverted story time.
It's like this explosion in my mouth.
Megan's friend tells her about a guy named Josh, aka Skater Dude,
He was a skater boy, she said, see you later, boy.
who she has a one-way video chat with because his camera is busted. Kids, don't video chat with strangers, and definitely don't video chat with strangers with a busted webcam. So they hit it off and the dialogue reaches a new low.
Wow. Sucks to be you.
Damn, you're a firecracker.
That's right.
Gotta watch myself around you, huh?
Uh-huh.
There's this whole excruciating back and forth where they're going to meet at a party, he stands her up, then he reveals that he was there but was too shy and now she wants to meet again. And I'm like, we're 35 minutes into Megan is Missing and Megan is still very much present. Josh needs to speed things up.
What are you doing today?
Nothing much. Me and my friend Amy are gonna go see the new Matt Damon movie.
Matt Damon. You like Matt Damon, huh?
Yeah, what's not to like?
Wait a minute, this is set in early 2007, which means the only Matt Damon movie in theaters is the Robert De Niro directed film The Good Shepherd. Yeah, I can totally see two 14-year-old girls going to see that on a Sunday afternoon. So Megan finally goes off to meet Josh, and wouldn't you know it, she's nowhere to be found the next day.
I was just wondering if you talked to Megan today.
No, I haven't. I'm kind of busy, so I'm gonna go, okay?
Gotta love how these girls cover the lenses with their hands when they finish a call. Amy even chats with Skater Dude, who is clearly the culprit, but it'll take her another 7 minutes of screen time to put that together. She's nice, but she's no Nancy Drew. But don't worry, in the meantime, we get the best worst news report I think I've ever seen.
Megan Stewart, a beautiful, popular 14-year-old girl, vanished without a trace after going out with friends 2 days ago.
The transitions. Just look at those transitions.
Megan Stewart is a role model for many of our students here. She's active in her community.
That depends on your definition of active in the community, Principal Carpenter. What's more, Megan is given all this attention when a missing boy in Crenshaw is given short shrift at the end of the report.
Police are also looking for clues in the disappearance of 13-year-old Tercel Jackson.
Huh. Typical. We then get another news report with footage from behind the diner where she was going to meet Josh, which the film shows us 4 times, enlarging it twice. You'd think this was building to some reveal, but nope, just to get closer on the already blurry footage. Amy finally suspects Josh, who then proceeds to humiliate her.
Do you hug your teddy bear, Amy, and pretend he's some guy you like, who's never gonna talk to you?
Shut up.
She goes to the authorities, and then some of their old stomping grounds where Megan's friends are very supportive.
You know, it's because of you that she's not here, right? She loved me! And I loved her back! I loved her so much, and now she's gone because of you!
Amy shows us where she stashed one of her bears under a park bridge. Nothing weird about that, as a shadowy figure watches from behind. Amy continues to be threatened by Josh, and the local news ups their game with an exclusive reenactment. I'm not sure what the purpose of this was other than to pad out the running time. If Michael Goy was trying to provide commentary on how the media sensationalized true crime, then he probably needs to take a long look in the mirror. Or maybe he just wanted to show us that this movie could be even worse.
You're trespassing. Come with me.
After that, we get a title card explaining that 2 photos of Megan were posted on a fetish website and the FBI was contacted. The anticipation builds, as we're told these photos have never been previously released to the public. And then, what has become the most infamous of title cards, photo number 1. Cue Michael Goy's warning.
And if you see the words photo number 1 pop up on your screen, you have about 4 seconds to shut off the movie if you're already kind of freaking out before you start seeing things that maybe you don't want to see.
You've been warned. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this, I was somewhat shocked, and I think that's because we just sat through nearly an hour of garbage, and this is actually something. The silent tension before this reveal is genuinely unsettling, and continues through photo number 2. The film really picks up now as Amy records another diary entry, and it ends on this menacing freeze frame, which I think is supposed to imply that the video cuts out here, which doesn't make sense to me, especially if this is Josh's right hand. If he's supposedly stopping the camera at the same time, then he must have a really long left arm. Whatever the case, Amy is also reported as missing.
The missing girl's best friend, Amy Herman, has now vanished.
And the local community raises awareness.
We're doing this pink ribbon campaign to let Megan know that we love her and we miss her. And hopefully you'll make whoever took her, feel bad and let her go.
Yes, I'm sure Josh will see the pink ribbons, realize the error of his ways, and release Megan. Also, these cold-hearted girls don't even mention Amy.
How could you be so heartless?
We then see some unbroadcast footage and photos of them finding Amy's camcorder in a park trash can, which leads us to the climax of the film, the final 22 minutes of footage from Amy's camera, unedited and unaltered. It begins in a creepy dark cellar, which seriously, who can afford a basement dungeon like this in LA? As we move past the infamous barrel. Almost time. Amy cries for help behind a locked door where she's been stripped down to her underwear and chained to the wall. Josh then throws a bucket of water on her.
My name's not Josh.
Okay, I'll just call you Skater Dude then, and makes her eat out of a bowl like a dog for some time with her teddy bear. He then rapes her atop the previously seen stocks as the camera is trained on her face, and Skater Dude brings his bloody hand into frame. Man, I'd rather sit through another hour of terrible dialogue than another minute of this crap. Later, Amy is back in her cell, and it appears that Stockholm Syndrome has set in.
What are you doing?
It's alright. Don't be afraid.
Am I going home?
You wanna go home?
Yes, please.
It's here that the blue barrel is finally opened up.
I just need you to get in this barrel, because I don't want you to see where I live, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
No, Megan!
Revealing Megan's decomposing corpse. Worst unboxing video ever. But seriously, this is the second and last effective moment in the film. Skater Dude then puts Amy in the barrel alongside her dead best friend. We are then treated to a 7-minute scene of Skater Dude digging a hole as Amy begs for her beloved captor from inside the barrel.
I love you, John. I love you.
They weren't kidding when they said this footage was unedited and unaltered. I can fix that. Skater Dude pushes the barrel into the shallow grave, and then, you guessed it, buries it as Amy pleads for her life. And the dirt consumes her cries. Thankfully, this only takes half as long. Skater Dude then picks up the camera and goes for an early morning hike. I don't know about you guys, but I'm unsubscribing from his vlog. We then see the missing posters for Megan and Amy before some old footage of the best friends chatting on a bed as the credits play underneath, concluding on this ominous note.
We'll know when the right guy comes along.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the movie. Feel free to pause this video and go take a shower if you need to.
You watch all that? Yeah. I had to.
With Megan is Missing, we are essentially watching a movie become a pop cultural phenomenon in real time. Just think, by becoming a social media zeitgeist, this film enters the cultural lexicon for millions of people, and we'll never be able to think about plastic barrels the same way again. I'm both curious and dreading what the next film to go viral on TikTok might be. If anything, Megan is Missing will probably be a gateway for the horror inclined to some much better films. And at the end of this video, I'll leave you with a couple of recommendations. Ultimately, the optimist in me wants to think that maybe this film will scare minors away from engaging with strangers online, which Michael Goy claims was his intention all along. I can't help but think this is a case of having your cake and assaulting it too, but I'm inclined to give Goy the benefit of the doubt, even if I can't justify some of his directorial decisions. To sum up my thoughts on Megan is Missing, I need to make a graph where the x-axis is craftsmanship and the y-axis is depravity. Now, you can have a film that's 50 shades of effed up and impeccably well made. I'm talking about films like Irreversible and Sallow, but when you roll in the gutter and there's nothing commendable about the filmmaking, you're in territory that's nigh unredeemable, and that is where Megan is Missing plants its flag. It all started with a terrible script, and it didn't get any better from there. Factor in all the perverted stuff involving young girls, and you got a film that's rotten to the core. I give Megan is Missing 1 barrel out of 5, and with that rating, it goes on to the lowest shelf of the cult rack. Honestly, if you're interested in films that cover similar terrain far better, I highly recommend checking out The Den and The Poughkeepsie Tapes, 2 films that perhaps I'll cover in future episodes of The Cult House. And that's my verdict on Megan is Missing. Have you had the misfortune of watching this movie? If so, what do you think? And what other films would you like to see me bring into The Cult House? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you down there. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe to Cineflect for video essays, film lists, and more, and click that bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified anytime I upload a new video. For Cineflect, I'm JS Lewis. Until next time, watch something better than Megan is Missing, like The Good Shepherd starring Matt Damon.
You like Matt Damon, huh?